Hello there, this is Magenta Pixie speaking, and I would just like to say that I have received quite a few questions, especially from people in the YouKay domain, that are concerned about the latest storyline in the novel, which is the Overlord's attempt to block out the sun or deflect the sun's rays away from the Fae. So this is a fictional story that we are writing. Now, sometimes this does have some similarity to actual real-world events, as real-world events are sometimes inspiration for the fictional storyline. First thing I would like to say, there have been people asking me the question, is this the white-capped pixies in the village that are doing this to wake up all the sleeping Fae? And the response to that is no, it is not that. This is an Overlord or black-capped pixie agenda, and that the agenda is multifaceted, which is number one, the experimentations have already taken place and found to be futile or incredibly minimally successful, if you want to use that word. It's predominantly there was no success, but there might be some ability to do something that has proven to be futile. So it's possible that further experimentation may take place in our fictional story. However, these are futile attempts, and ultimately distraction is utilized from the overlords in the novel to distract from issues that are occurring elsewhere within other areas of the entire village or within the YouKay domain, and also the generating, let's say, of a fear-based response. And then I explain that. I'm about to read what they actually said in the transmission, the Diamond Codex and the Quartz Key. So this is my most recent book. I started to compile information for this in 2018, late 2018, and this book was finally published in 2023. And one of the topics the Nine talk about is this fictional storyline of attempting to block out the sun or deflect the sun's rays away from the Fae. So bearing in mind that what I'm about to read here is a fictional story. So this is from the Diamond Codex and the Quartz Key. There are those that are concerned about experiments to block out your sun in order to prevent your planet from heating up due to perceived effects from the phenomenon that has been labelled global warming. This is a vast subject that we could present an entire transmission upon, and it is not the subject matter of this transmission. Suffice it to say, the information regarding this vast subject is out there, available on your planet, should you decide that this is an area worthy of your time and exploration. The knowings are all within you. So this is part of a fictional novel that does bear some minor resemblance to something that's occurring in real life, which is inspiration for a fictional story. So that's one small part. I'm going to now go on to something else they said a few pages later. And they said here, the blocking of your sun upon your planet is an experiment that may be akin to thus. Before you is a large stone wall spanning thousands of miles. The rock is enchanted granite and has existed for thousands of years. You wish to knock down this wall as a child knocks down its wall of toy bricks. And all you have with which to do this is a small hammer. You are able to make a tiny dent within this wall with your small hammer. Remember, this wall is made of enchanted granite. Each time a small chip is taken off the wall, each time a dent or a hole is made, the granite, through its enchantment, is able to regenerate the wall back to its original form. No matter how many of you there are, no matter how many hammers and how many years you spend attempting the task of knocking down the granite wall, it is futile, for the granite within the wall regenerates itself faster than you can make the slightest chip or dent. So the 9 back in, well, this book was published in 2023 and this was written somewhere within the year. So this would have been brought forward from the 9 between 2022 and 2023. This is what they said. This is the metaphor that they use for this potential experiment. And I've spoken to the 9 and there's no change on this. This is exactly as is occurring in the current storyline and the recent pages that have been written. So they do go on to say, this is the way it is for those who attempt to use dark technologies to block out your sun and prevent it from accessing life upon your planet or in your village. Yet just to say to the peoples of Earth, or the fairies of the village, we are blocking out your sun, will create the deepest fear within. For it is known on deep subconscious levels within your collective planetary memory that the sun and its rays are the givers of life. The intention to create fear and instability at these deep levels by suggesting your greatest life giver is to be taken from you or is prevented access to you is that which shall shake your empowerments, your self-belief, your self-worth and sovereignty. The unaware ones know not why they feel the grief, loss and fear, so they mask it, they bury it, ignore it, and carry on as if it is not there. The aware ones feel deeply the beauty, the bliss and empowering, nourishing charge from the sun, the beloved sun god that is soul. Although they do not bury or ignore their fears and allow grief to set in, they are alarmed at the thought that the sun's rays may be prevented from glowing upon your planet or in your village and yourselves. We say to you this, look again at the story of the enchanted granite wall and see the futility of these attempts. No technology can mask the sun's warm kiss upon the human children of Earth or the elemental fae within the bifurcated village. Yet for security, knowledge, awareness, healing, regeneration and abundance, know that the physical sun is an emanation from many suns. The grand central sun burns a fire so bright, holds a light so brilliant, that it simply cannot be looked upon or even thought of in its truest intensity. You are made of this light, and you hold this light within you. So what the 9 have said to me recently is, as the overlords make these attempts or suggest that they are going to do this triggers this deep subconscious fear of life being removed, life and true sustenance being removed. So that's one of the agendas within this fictional story. The other is distraction, and often that is simply just an extra bonus that will be enjoyed by the overlords, let's say. But let's just say there was some small achievement in this experimentation. Now, the 9 have said that the metaphor of trying to knock down a wall built with enchanted granite and each time you make a dent, it just regenerates, that's the metaphor. So this is a futile experiment. But let's just say that something was achieved. A small part of Soul's beautiful golden rays were deflected. The 9 have said what would occur in that situation is there would be, from the Overlord perspective, this would be a backfire, but in truth this would be a galactic compensation, because what would occur is these soul systems that are behind the physical soul, which hold photonic light, plasma and crystalline light, and a much higher frequency of light that is received by an ascending, awakened individual and by those asleep that are in a receptive state, that would then broadcast its rays even more. So using a metaphor, if you try to move the physical soul a little bit and deflect it somewhere else or block it, then the photonic light will increase, the crystalline light will increase, the plasma will increase, and that then occurs in the bodies of the Fae. So the solar plexus within the Fae, which is the inner sun, and the heart chakra would change in its composition, and it would then broadcast more crystalline light and hold a higher receptivity for this higher plasma. So if you remember the Nine have said many times, the overlords, the more they try to prevent ascension, the more they catalyze ascension. That's exactly what would happen here. The more they would try to prevent souls' rays getting to the Fae, whether it's through blocking or through deflecting, the more they catalyze the light rays to the Fae through the Fae's own generation of their body and different galactic broadcasts from this soul system. There isn't just one solar sun in the fictional village. There is an entire system, and it's literally impossible for dark technology to access that because it's multidimensional, going up through many different dimensions. So, I mean, you could look at it in another way as, let's say you had a little tree, a small tree, and you cut that tree down because you are trying to prevent the fairies having access to this tree. By the next morning, the tree has regenerated and it's back again. Just like the story Jack and the Beanstalk. They cut the beanstalk down and then the beanstalk grows again the next day and it's even bigger and it's even got even more plush leaves. And so they cut that down and it grows again. It regenerates itself and changes its way of beaming down its light, whether it is a physical soul or these multidimensional souls that exist in antimatter. So it's impossible to do it. And so A, experimentations have already taken place anyway, and B, using this as a fear tactic. So if you say to the Fae, we're going to take away your soul, we're going to block your soul and divert soul's rays elsewhere, and the fairies then respond with, no, you cannot do this. So you have sleeping fairies that bury those emotions and just feel terrible and don't really know why. They bury their head in the sand because they don't understand this. They don't understand their own feelings. And the awake Fae will react with, no, this is a life-giving force. Please don't hurt soul. Because the awake Fae, the actual ascending Fae, are deeply connected to all of nature. But they are aware of the power of soul. So what they are assuming here is that the overlords have the power to do this, and the overlords are presenting themselves as a deeply powerful force by even suggesting that they can do this. But the fear that is generated, the panic that is generated, and the instant, we must do something, let's all get together and stop this from happening right now. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, because when that occurs, then one does create a lack of consent. One is not consenting to this. However, it can also create a panic. It can be a huge distraction and take one away from one's own balance and movement into Stargate Ascension, which is going along just beautifully. There is no interference with Stargate Ascension or the Ascension process at all. Everything is moving along beautifully in the village, in that area. So this generation of fear can be utilised by the overlords, and also to suggest that they are going to do something. Well, are they? I mean, we've listened to, and this is obviously the YouKay domain at this point that I'm discussing, we've listened to many things that the Overlord system were going to do and were planning to do, but did they actually do them? So one must realise that we have to take these announcements, even though they may be nationwide, as in right across the YouKay domain and delivered to every Fae through the town crier broadcast system, we have to take these proclamations of what they are about to do with a huge pinch of fairy dust, or salt if you like. So is there anything to worry about here? The answer to that is no, there isn't. The only thing to worry about is people getting caught up in the panic and the fear that is generated by this. And so I wanted to come on and make a video to just try to put fears to one side, as I've had a lot of people write to me and ask me to comment on this. Obviously, you know, those who haven't read the book won't have known that the Nine did actually comment on this back in 2022, 2023 in the transmission. So I've just read that out, the relevant parts. And just to reiterate again that whilst there is something similar going on in our real life, that is simply inspiration for fiction. And the book that I read from is a fictional book, and we are writing a fictional story together. So is there anything for the Fae to worry about? Only their own generation of fears and panic around this, and the triggering of that inner memory of losing something that is so very important, that is nourishment. Soul is a highly intelligent being and is the, if you will, youngest member of an entire structure. So we have soul, the sun, we have the central sun, we have the grand central sun, we have the great grand central sun and great great grand central suns going on into an infinite system. It is not possible to infiltrate the system that gives light, and this is dimensional light, photonic light, it is plasma, and it is crystalline, and that cannot be removed in any way from the Fae other than by the Fae themselves, by believing that that is so. The Fae are fully receptive to these rays. So I really hope that has helped. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back with more posts, more videos, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Lots of love. Bye. I am delighted to announce that the first 3 books of my Matrix Mastery teachings are now available, collected into a single omnibus edition. This information within these 3 books, making up the Matrix Mastery Omnibus, holds key codes, maps, and coordinates for anyone moving into awareness, activation, and the knowing that there is far more to the human reality on Earth than just the physical plane. As the starseeds on Earth go through the process of DNA reconstruction and regrouping of cosmic multidimensional memory, the significant codex within each transmission is downloaded to the reader directly from their own monadic avatar self. Multiple flame letter memory codes are utilized, including the rose, the chalice, the golden stargate, Atlantis, crystalline light, Excalibur, the sword of truth, the dragon, the emerald flame, and all that encompasses the holographic nature of reality. These codes are held within the most sacred twin pillars of light, your heart and your mind. The Matrix Mastery Omnibus, available now.